if I'm able to pick it up and, you know, without anybody actually, keeping me, there was nobody teaching me about it. I only just listened to some blogs, watch some videos, and whenever I ran into trouble, I found ways to, research and, try to get help. So that's really it. Like, if someone without that IT background can do that, then you can also do that. But let's just dive right in. Like, Power Automate, we've been talking about that for a week now. What's really Power Automate? You know, Power Automate is Microsoft's solution to helping um organizations through their analysts or through their workforce, uh simplify whatever task that they have, right? So the way Microsoft has Excel spreadsheets, it has Microsoft Power BI for visualizations and analytics. It has Microsoft PowerPoint for presentations, right? Microsoft Word for writing, and putting meetings together and all that kind of stuff. That's how Microsoft also has Power Automate, right? So you find Power Automate as one of the apps in the Microsoft suite. So if you have a Microsoft license, for example, a personal Microsoft license, you could go into your Microsoft 365, right? Just jump right in, and then you'd see Power Automate as one of the apps uh, that they are offering, right? So there's the free version, and then there's the paid version. So the paid version is usually a premium version, and you mostly find that companies are those who go for those premium versions. But I mean, you don't really have to pay for it. You can use the free version, to do as much as you can do. So I'll just do some demo and show us the different varieties that we have with Power Automate, and what you can actually do with it. So first things first, let me share my screen. Um, it should be screen two. Yeah, I just share the entire thing. Screen two. Okay, please confirm you can see my screen. Uh, it will be it will be like a mirror image of. All right. So to go into Power Automate, right? Like I said, you could just go into the Microsoft Office space, Microsoft Office or Microsoft 365, and anyone you're comfortable with, right? And we can see Office 365 login here, right? So I'm going right into it. And because I was logged in before on the class, before joining the class, it just took me straight here. But I'm sure if you want to do that on your own, you just need to log in. If you have a sign in and then you log in, you get to see the apps. So on this waffle you have here, if you click on it, you'd see all the apps that Microsoft has. Sometimes you won't see Microsoft Power Automate, show here. So you need to click on more apps, right? So that it, let me take this off. Yeah. So that it opens up all the other apps. So here again, it's still not showing everything. So I need to click on all apps, right? And I can see as many apps that Microsoft has in its offering, and I'm able to select Microsoft Power Automate. So prior to maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Power Automate used to be called Flow, Microsoft Flow, right? So if you've heard of Microsoft Flow before, uh, and you're hearing Power Automate now, it's about the same thing. So I'm going to click on Microsoft Power Automate, right? And yeah, it's taking me to the landing page. So here you're going to see lots of things. It's going to look too busy. Things like uh, approval solutions and all of that, right? But the essence of this solution is really to simplify things that you do. So if you're someone who would usually maybe every day you go to work, there's a task that you must complete by a certain hour, right? And the task usually follows the same principle. So maybe there's an email you expect from a team, and that email has to drop by 9 a.m. every morning, right? So you wait for that email, they send you an attachment. You always take that attachment, you save it in a location, and the content of that attachment, assuming it's an Excel file, you always take that Excel file and then dump it in a template, right? So a template you have where once you dump that Excel file, you now start your building process for the reports that you need to send to maybe your regional manager or your line manager. So you can see all the steps involved in trying to churn out just one report that you have to send out by say 11 a.m., right? Your day starts at 8 a.m. You must send that report by 11 a.m. But there are different touch points between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. when you have to send that report. So that's where a tool like Power Automate comes in, right? And you will find that once you've seen a bit of what it can do, right? You become more, your appetite will grow. You become hungrier. You want to see, okay, there's this report that I've been doing for the past 2 weeks or there's this thing I picked up sometime last year, and how can I simplify this thing? How can I automate this thing? So that's where I am at as a professional, right? I'm at that stage where I see different kinds of reports, wherever I am, and I want to say, okay, how do we simplify this? How do we automate it so that we cut out all these man hours, and begin to, you know, make our lives simpler. So I just tell you how I came in contact with Power Automate. So I had this job, right, where this example I've given you is just it was my real life story on that job, right? Every morning by 8 a.m. we resume work, right? But every morning, Monday to Friday, there's a report we always have to deliver before 10 a.m., right? So between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. every morning of my work life, I'm stuck juggling folders, juggling emails just to get a couple of files that I need to put together, and then put just somehow do some mumbo jumbo, create maybe a one pager, right? And then send out to a team, right? So this was my life for, well, how many months? Let's say 4 or 5 months. We had to do this, and it was always a tedious set of 2 hours because I mean, there's always someone who is, in fact, sometimes they don't even want to wait for you to finish up. There's already an SLA that the reports have to be sent out by 10 a.m., right? But sometimes there's something pressing, and someone in the team or a region, needs something. Maybe they are preparing for one report and they need to see, so there's always fire, and that was what gave rise to Power Automate, and thankfully, we had a supportive line manager who, saw the need to upskill ourselves in this regard. So we found ourselves learning about it, and members of the team just took it up, started learning, and before you could know it, we were able to automate that process. And that process that would usually take us 2 hours to complete, we found that it started taking less than 20 minutes, right? So with just a click of a button, all that rigmaroling of, going to look for emails, juggling folders, opening Excel sheets, building reports, sending emails, all that stuff, was ready within 25 minutes. And and that was it. Hello? Hello?
Hi.
We can see
Mm.
here.
Okay. My screen went off, so it felt
Yeah,
like
we can hear you.
okay. Thank you. So yeah, so
But
that
I
so
think
that
your screen is not real time.
my screen is what?
It's not real time. I'm not seeing what you're doing. Just stagnant. I mean your screen, but we can hear you clearly.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing anything. So it's been on one page, right? Can you see Power Automate?
Okay, yeah, yeah, it's been on one page. Just I think your browser page,
Yeah, and you can see Power
Firefox.
Automate. You
Just
can
the browser
can you,
page
can you
showing the
see me
Firefox.
Firefox? Really?
No, I'm seeing something else. I'm seeing Power Automate. Can others see Power Automate?
Can you see hello? Can you see hello, Alex?
What we can see
Yes,
is hello,
in
Alex.
Hello
The
Alex.
page displaying hello, Alex.
Yeah. So that's what I'm sharing. That's exactly what I'm sharing. All right. So at least you followed me all the way from, typing Microsoft 365. All of that was showing, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. So no problem. We're together. So that was what gave
Yeah,
rise to,
yeah.
yeah. All right. Thank you. So that was what gave rise to me picking up Power Automate as a skill. So now that's it. So I'm at that stage where now I want to, see how I can improve every other little piece that I come across, and I find it quite interesting. I find it quite relieving, because imagine how much time and stress it takes away from you as an individual, and you can find, that you can use that same time for more useful endeavors, right? So this is your Power Automate online version. Okay. If you want to create a flow, a Power Automate flow, right, for one of your reports or for anything that you've imagined, there's something that always takes your time, and you really want to you want to work on it. We have about 5 different ways of going about it, right? So there's the automated cloud flow. The automated cloud flow would work when when there's a trigger, right? So triggers are things like if XYZ sends me an email, run this flow, right? So that's a trigger. You put a trigger into that um flow, right? And then whenever that trigger happens, your flow will run. So that's an automated cloud flow. If, let's say a trigger could be if a file dropped into this folder, right? So I'm opening a folder now. Um, so so this is a folder, right? So if maybe if file in this sales data dump, right? I have 22, 23, 24 years. So if I open 24, I have January, Feb, all the way to October, right? If a new folder comes into this folder and it's named 11 November 2024, my trigger can be if a new folder is added to this folder, or my trigger can be if a new file is added to November 24, run this flow, right? So triggers are events that you set, so that your flows can automatically run. That's why they're called automated cloud flows. Instant cloud flows are things that they are flows that you create, right? And then you want to run them whenever you want to run them. So it's just by a click of a button and it will run, right? Unlike the example I gave with the work situation where we always had to run it by 8, right? That one was a scheduled cloud flow, right? Because we scheduled it to run by 8 every morning, which is the next one here, right? But there are some other kinds of flows that you can have that you just want to, while you're doing something, you just want to run it, and then it does a part of the job for you, and then you can continue with the rest of the job. So those instant cloud flows, they just need you to click a button, right? All the flows generally will have a button, right? But there are those that are automated. There are those that are scheduled. You can schedule them to run every morning. You can say you want to run it every year on the 30th of April. I need you to run this report for me every 30th of April. Or I want it run every day by 8 a.m. Like the example I gave. Or I want it run every week. Then there is the desktop flow, right? The desktop flow is is the one that everyone has an access to. So to get the desktop Power Automate, right? On this same page, you see install here. So if you click on install, you see Power Automate for desktop. Once you click it, it will download the desktop version of Power Automate, right? And you're able to install it and you can have it as one of the apps. Alternatively, in the Microsoft Store. So this is the Microsoft Store here, right? If you click on the Microsoft Store, let me just bring that to this screen. In this Store, you can search for Power Automate, right? Power Automate. So that's Power Automate. If I click on it, I can see the app, right? So it's saying open for me because I have it installed, right? But if you don't have it installed, I'm sure it will have something like download, or install or thereabouts. So you just need to download it and it installs automatically. So you could do that. And once you do that, that's a free version for you. You don't need to have any license, right, to use that particular version. And the difference between that version and the online version is that you are able to do things around desktop related tasks. So things like move files between folders on your desktop, open a particular file, copy things from here to here, insert stuff, all those kinds of work that you can do on your Excel file, Word, whatever it is, but as long as it's within the context of your desktop. Okay, that's what you can do with your desktop app. And for the purpose of this class, right? Uh, the demo I'll show us will be on the desktop app as well. So that it's something we can relate to. So that you don't have to start thinking of a license or trying to get the premium version that allows you to do all that kinds of other things. But with the desktop one, you can still do things and still automate some processes that you work with, right? So beyond these types that we have here now, Microsoft has also made it simple for us in such a way that there are prototypes that we can, you know, copy and edit, you know, and create our own flows. So people have done different things around Power Automate. It's just like if you're working with Power BI, for example, and you run into trouble, there's a community out there that you can go into and ask questions, and people would have encountered such problems before, so you'd always find solutions. So it's very similar to this. So you'll find that there are different templates that you can just edit and model into what you're looking for. So you can see different options here now. You want to follow up on a message, you want to schedule a reply, you want to forward emails, You different there are different templates. So you can click here, you see all templates, and then the templates are put into several buckets. Sorry, excuse me, I got a call. So they are put into several buckets, and you're able to set. So maybe you say save. I want to save attachment, attachment, right? And I just click on enter. I'm sure there will be right several options. So see this one, save Outlook email attachments to your OneDrive, save email attachments from Outlook to Dropbox. So there are different options here, right? And all you just need to do is look for the one that closely relates to what you are trying to do at that particular moment. So if what I'm trying to do is there's this email I always get, right, where I need to always go into that email and save into my OneDrive, then that first option, right, is the one I'm looking for. I mean, I have a good example because in my current job, every month the finance business partner sends me the monthly results, right? And I find myself always going into that email, pulling out all the attachments and saving them in our finance results folder with the date and all of that, right? So this kind of process, I can just simplify it to say, and immediately that becomes an automated flow, right? Because there'll be a trigger. So whenever I receive an email from XYZ, please go into that email. Oh, and of course, I can always put. Let me just open this one so you see. So it says this is what the flow will connect. But before that, before I go into this, I'll talk about connectors. So the flow would look like whenever I get an email from XYZ, and then I can also include, and the header of the email probably has results or year-end results, or there's a particular format that his monthly result email always comes in. I can prime my flow to pick that format, and ensure that whenever his email comes looking like that, then that's the email we're looking for. So whenever that email comes, please run this flow, and then it goes into the email, pick the attachment and creates the folders and it saves them and all of that. Right. So these are the different templates. Like I said, you could search for anything at all. Right. And I'm sure someone would have done something about it in the past. Even if it's not exactly it, there'll be something close to what you're looking for. And you could just model it to what you're looking for. So I go back. Now, underneath the template, we have what we call connectors, right? So connectors are the different touch points that Microsoft has kept, for us to be able to interact with on Power Automate. So your Outlook is a connector, for example. You want Power Automate to go into your Outlook to search for a mail, right? You want it to go into SharePoint to search for a folder. You want it to go into OneDrive. So all the different touch points that Power Automate is able to work with are what they've called connectors. So it can connect seamlessly with your Azure environment. It can connect seamlessly with Power BI, with with Microsoft Teams. I had someone who created who created an automated flow that will remind us every morning to always clock in, right? I found that tiring because every morning by 9 a.m. you just see, please don't forget to clock in, right? Or please don't forget to take your 1 hour break for lunch and things like that. So it was part of a test run to see how connections with Microsoft Teams work, right? And that was the result. And at some point we found that tiring, but that's it just goes to show you how much you can do with it as a tool at your disposal. So we've talked about the different types. We've talked about the templates that you have at your disposal. We've talked about the connectors. Uh, let's see how we can edit one of the templates first before we go into the 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 app and see how the app looks like. So all template, save Outlook email attachments to your OneDrive. So let's try this one. So it would require me to sign in, right? I'm signing into my Outlook, accept. So it already has my password, I presume. I want to sign into my OneDrive as well. So I'm accepting that. Right. So because it has this template, the two connectors that it has is Outlook and then OneDrive. Now you want it to go into your Outlook to get attachments and then save them in your own OneDrive. So I'm not saying that you want it to go into your boss's Outlook or your teammate's Outlook. It has to be yours, right? That's why it is requiring you to sign in, you know, because of the security involved with it. So now I want to create the flow. So I just clicked on create flow, right? Once it opens up, it will open the flow up, the prototype of the flow, and I'm able to edit it, to prime it to whose email do I want it to go into and stuff like. So your flow is ready to go. Don't show me again. Got it. All right. So um now edit. So there are just two actions here, right? On email and apply to each attachment on email. So if I click on this one, I'm seeing what folder is it getting the email from? Inbox. So show advanced options. Two, two. So who is the recipient of the email? If you're the one who receives the email, then you put your email address here. I can put mine here now. Vincent at outlook.com, right? That's the two. I'm the one who receives it. What about from? I can say Alex B. I don't know who that is. I'm just formulating that at outlook.com. So it comes from Alex B at outlook.com, right? Does he usually copy anybody? You can put whoever is in the regular, whoever is a regular recipient of the email, as you also do. Importance, is there an importance attached to the email? Things like that. Only with attachment. So it's asking you, do the emails only, should it be only emails with attachments? I'll go on to say yes. Include the attachment, I'll say yes. Subject filter. So this is where I was saying I can prime it to select what the subject will always look like. So if I know that the subject always looks like financial results, right? I can just add financial results. Okay. If I'm sure that it looks like financial results, or maybe your team, maybe he also adds your team. You can say HR. Let's say I'm in HR. Maybe I work within the HR team, right? I want to I want it to also pick the HR just in case he's sending financial result of another team, right? And he mistakenly sent it to me. I just want only the one that has HR financial. So as long as you are sure that the subject is usually sent in this manner. Maybe he sent it as HR financial results space month space year, right? So I filtered it whenever the subject looks like it. This is what I want, right? Now I'm hiding this, hide advanced. Then apply to each attachment on the email. So it has created it has created a variable called attachment, right? And that's what it has put into this space. So select an output from the previous steps. So if we go in here, right, only with attachments, we've said yes. So this yes, and we've said include attachments, right? This yes here, this yes here shows that there is now an output, right, from this process. And one of those output is this attachment. So if I click into this place here, right, and I scroll down, I can see all the outputs from that previous step. So I have an item, I have attachment as an item, I have a from. So that from, whoever I put as from has become a variable. That's an output. Whoever I put it as to has become a variable. So whenever I want to use that email, I can just, instead of writing the email again, I can just put to, and it recognizes that that's the email I want to use. So at every point when you finish one section, it takes out several outputs and creates them into dynamic contents or variables, right? So in this particular instance, from the example we're editing, the first step was on a new email to Vincent from Alex B with attachment where the subject's filter is HR results applied to each attachment on the email.
Hello,
Select an out.
Vincent.
Yes, please.
Vincent, sorry, someone's hand is up. I think Evelyn. Evelyn, do you want to ask a question?
Yes, I
So,
do.
okay, please go on.
Okay. My question is around that subject where you said if
Yeah.
I'm sure of the subject. What if I'm not sure of the subject? I just know it's coming from that person, the from, but I don't have a particular subject in mind. What happens?
Yeah, so that's the thing. There's a tendency that you can have several kinds of interactions with this individual, right?
Yes. Yes.
But if you are building this flow for a particular purpose, if, for example, I'm building this flow because I want to gather all the financial results that Alex B sends me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it behooves on me to speak to Alex B, right? To always send his email in this particular format, right? It's a very simple ask. We're not asking for too much. Dear Alex, I'm trying to build a flow, that simplifies the process of us storing this financial result that you get to send to us. Could you please always send these emails using the header HR financial result MMMYYYY, right? And
Okay.
and it becomes binding. As long as he's agreed to it, it becomes binding. So whenever he doesn't send it in that format, he has erred, right? Because you both have an agreement that this is how your email should. So that's the job of, it's part of the job of a data analyst, beyond your ability to code, your ability to use Excel and use all the Power BIs in the world, right? Your ability to manage stakeholders, your ability to engage people, right? And have them to, work within a particular structure that you want to create to simplify a task. So you find that even during interviews, for example, they tell you, oh, what if you come into this place and you see that the structure is not great? Or the data structure is so terrible, how do you simplify things, or how do you work from that and make things better and stuff like that? So it's part of your job, to make sure that you gather people together and galvanize them to try to do stuff along the path that you think is the right path. Do you get?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if the purpose of the task isn't for HR financial results, if all you just want to do is whenever you get attachments from Alex B, right? Please save them in this folder. Then you take out the subject filter, right? Because now you're asking it to always get Alex's emails, right? Whenever they have attachments, please move the attachments into my OneDrive, right? So it's really neither here nor there. As long as you know what you're trying to achieve, then it's very possible. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes, you have. Thank you.
All right. So now one of the outputs is now the attachment. You can see I didn't manufacture this myself. Microsoft Power Automate has already created all these outputs for us, right? So for each of these attachments, uh, the next one is what create file. So I'm clicking on create file. So for each of these attachments, folder path, all I just need to do now is to go into a folder. So let's say this is the folder, this is where I want it saved. I will go here and just paste it, or I click into this place where it takes me to my OneDrive, I believe. It should take me to my OneDrive. Yeah. So it's taking me to my OneDrive. So I have all these apps. If I click on training, sales data dump, I click on this 2024. So I want it saved in 2024. So the file name should be the attachment name, file content should be the attachment content, and then I save it, right? So I've saved my flow. Uh, and in this very instance, it tells me your flow is ready to go. We recommend you test it, right? But of course, because I don't have access to Alex B, the Outlook, I mean, we can't test this because obviously we just used a prototype of an email. But this is how you can edit an already existing flow templates that you'd find on Microsoft Power Automate. It's as simple as you can get. You can see I've not written any code in this particular flow that we've edited. There's been zero code, right? So this is something that anybody can pick up, try to do on their own and see how they can make their lives better. So now that we've seen how to edit an existing template, I want to also show us how we can start one on our own. And I'll do that with the desktop app because that's the one that everybody can really easily have access to, right? So we've downloaded, this is me assuming now, we've downloaded Microsoft Power Automate, right? So I'm opening my Power Automate desktop app now, right? And then this is what it looks like, okay? So the home page, this is what the home page of my desktop app looks like, right? I can go into my flows and say I want to create a new flow, right? But before I create this new flow, I want to run through what we want to quickly achieve. I don't know how many hours. Anyway, how many hours do I have?
You have about
Minutes.
less than
I know I
20
have.
minutes left.
Okay, I have less than 20 minutes. Okay, I'll try to explain what we want to achieve as quickly as possible, right? So that we can try starting the flow. So I have this. I go into my training, right? This is this is my sales report. Do I have it open? So I have it open. So all right. So I have this sales report, right? Hypothetically speaking, I have a sales report. right? The process of getting this sales report together is such that a team in my company, guys, I'm hypothetically speaking here now, right? A team in my company always goes into this folder. So I'm assuming sales data dump now is a folder in, let's say, the company drive, right? So they always go into sales data dump to drop the latest sales files in every month. So if I open 2024, for example, I open January, I'll see sales data January 24, right? So it means that there's someone responsible in that team whose job it is to always come into this folder whenever the sales data for the month is ready. They will probably create a new folder. You can see the way the folders are named. 01_January. That's okay, that's not underscore. 01_January hyphen year, right? That's so there's a naming convention. There's also, so in this same folder, we have October, and obviously October data is ready. So this is me also assuming that we're done with October. All right, so October data is ready, and that individual has gone into that folder to dump October's data. Now, this is my own. So there's now sales report. So this sales report here, so we're now assuming that sales report, this folder is in my own OneDrive. Remember, sales data dump, I don't have access to it, or I have access to it, but obviously it is not my own drive. It is not my own folder. Someone else has the responsibility of going to dump the data there. Or we can just assume it's it's coming from an email and we do the whole email thing we've just done, right? But in this instance, it it's in a folder in a drive that someone always goes to dump data for me to use. So sales report is a folder in my own environment, in my own OneDrive, right? If I open sales reports, what I've done here is I've gone into the individual monthly folders that that person has created and I've brought out the data that I need, right? And I've just put it here. Now I put it here because in my sales report itself, which is this Excel file, which is now what we have open, I've created I've created a Power Query, right? So this what you're seeing here is a Power Query. If I click it, you see there's a table design, there's a query. So I've created a Power Query that consolidates all that data, right, from January to September. If I click on period, for example, you see 2024, January to September. So I haven't done October's own, but I'm just letting you know how the job um moved from step, right? The first step is I have to go into that first folder where the guy will dump it, move it into my own environment where I'll consolidate it with my Power Query. And then I have also built a report. So I've built a report that all I need to do is probably add that data, add that data into this place here. And once I refresh it, this one will also have October. So it's a simple report, right? But there are quite a number of touch points. And once the report is done, I want to be able to send this report to my regional manager or to my MD to say, okay, this is what we've done for sales for the year. Um, want to create a flow for all this to happen now, right? So I go into my Power Automate. There'll be a bit of coding involved in this one, right? But it's not coding. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm creating a new flow and I want to call this flow sales report, right? So I'm creating it. Uh, if I've lost you so far, please let me know. Okay. I'm glad we're all moving along.
Are you going to share the recording at the end so we can watch it?
That's I think the recording will be available. Yeah,
Thank you.
I believe it will be. Yeah. All right. So this is my sales report canvas. I don't have any actions yet, right? The first thing I would want to do, I already know what the folder structure looks like, right? The folder structure is such that the person has used years and he has used months and years, right? So I want to get, I want to, I want to get, so before I even speak, I mean, on the left here are different actions, right? So there are different actions that you can pick from. There are actions related to Excel. If I type Excel, for example, you'll see all the different actions that I can do with Excel. If I type folder, for example, I'm sure there are different things I can do with folder. If I type copy, let's say I want to copy from Excel or copy from any wherever, there are different things I can do with copy. So you just need to search for an action that you want to do. Now, for me, the first thing I want to do is try to dynamically let Power Automate go into whatever folder it should go into. I don't want to let put it put any folder there. Like I don't want to hard code any folder, right? So I will get current date and time. So get current date and time, right? I can double click that or I can drag. I can drag and drop. So I can drag this and drop, right? So I'm saying get current date and time, and it will produce a variable called current date and time, right? I will save that. Now, this October report, ideally, October shouldn't be ready. So let's now assume we're in November, and it is because we're in November, that's why October is ready. So it means that whatever you are doing, you probably be working a month backwards, right? So if I want to work on October's report, October has to be fully exhausted before I can work on October's report. So it means I'll most likely be working on October's report in November, right? So the ideal thing to do will be to add to this date and time. So if I say add, I'll just drag add to date and time. So current date and time ideally will be October, but I want to add the current date and time. So it's asking me what date and time do you want to add to? So remember, we already have a variable called current date and time. So I just need to select that variable, which is current date and time that it has saved, right? Now, what do I want to add? I want to add -1. Am I adding -1? So yes, I'm adding -1 because remember, guys, I'm assuming that we're in November. So if I'm adding -1, it means I want it to look at -1, what time unit, -1 month, right? So I want it to look at -1 month of whatever month I'm working on. So if November's report is ready, it means I'll be working on it in December. So give me December -1 month, right? So the current date and time should be showing October now, right? So I want it to do -1, so it gets September, but that's in a real situation. So, but in this situation, we are trying to do October report in October, so I don't need to do this -1. I'm just showing us that we can, manipulate whatever date and time structure we have, just so it suits what we're looking for. So we don't need this step. Right. We're in October. We're trying to work on October's report. So let me pull that up real quick again. So we have month number underscore month short name and then hyphen the year. So I want to convert this date and time now to text. So I just type text in my actions. So I'm seeing convert, 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 convert date time to text. So I drag this and I drop it here, right? So what date time am I converting? Again, we have a variable, guys, and it's current date and time. So what format am I using? I want to give it a custom format, right? Because I know the format I'm looking for. So what custom format is it? Remember, it is mm, right? Which is the number. Stands for month. So if you the normal format for date is day, which is DD. If you want to have the day in full, it will be DDDD. 4 days, you have the day in full. So Monday will be written in full, Monday. When you put DDDD. If you are doing DD, it means you want it to give you the day as a number. If you are doing DDD, it means you want it to give you day as Montuewe. Do you understand? So there's a structure to this, and I mean, if you've used Excel, you'll find that it's the same thing. It's the same formatting structure on Excel as well. So we know it is right? And then there's an underscore. What follows? It is MMM. Supposed to be MMM. Okay, caps. I think this one takes caps. So MMM. What follows is a hyphen, right? And then what follows is year in YY. It's not taking it YY. All right. So it takes caps for month, takes small letter for year, right? So this is what that folder looks like. I don't know if I've lost anybody at this point. If you if
Okay.
it if you use if you used Excel formatting for date columns, you find that it's very similar to what you do on Excel. All right. So now it will produce a variable called formatted date and time. If I'm okay with what it has called it, maybe I want it to be called something else. I can change it to say folder date and time, or I'll just say folder date, right? Folder date, so that I can always remember what what that variable means. So I'm saving this as folder date. So you can see the next action it has said I've converted date time, current date time to text using the format mmmmmmyy, and I've stored it into a variable called folder date. Now, I think there's a question. That sound
Yeah,
familiar.
thank you, Vincent. It has to do with the text formatting. You wrote mm-mmm. I was thinking it should be dd-mmm
All right.
underscore.
All right, so let's go back to the folder. So what all these numbers are not days, they are the month number.
Okay,
You can
okay.
see 01 is January, 02 is February, 10 is October. So they are not dates, they are actually the month number. So the person has done it this way, maybe so that it is saved in chronological order. If you don't put 01 there and you just save as January 24, February, it won't save like this, it will save in alphabetical order, right? So maybe the person has saved it this way just so it's saved in chronological order. Well, the person in this instance is me. I did all of this. All right. Um. So we've converted the date time to text. But remember, guys, that also there's also a folder. There's also a folder before this one, which is in years, right? So we want to also convert this one into year, right? So we create another one and convert again into year. And say we're converting now, you see that it has more than one variables because we have two variables, but we're still converting the same guy, right, into a custom guy. And all we need is y, right? And it's giving me the sample 2020. Now I want to change this from formatted date time and I want to call it year, or let's say folder year, and then I save, right? So we have And so, and all the flow variables that we've created, it's saving them on the right here. So the first one, current date time, folder date, and then folder year. All right. So what's the next thing we want it to do? We want it to copy an Excel file from one folder into my own folder, right? So if I search for copy, so I can say copy files, copy Excel worksheet, copy cells from Excel worksheet, copy files. I think copy files is what we're looking for, right? If I drag copy files, right, it will say files to copy. Now the files to copy, I will go into that file I want to copy, right? So this is the file I want to copy. If I right click this, I will see the path of the file. So I'm copying the path of the file, right? And then I'm pasting it here. Files to copy. These are the files to copy, right? I'll remove these asterisks, or what do they call them? Is it hyphen? No, it's not hyphens. Quotation marks, right? So this is the file I wanted to copy. But remember, guys, it has the hard coded year and it has the hard coded um dates, right? So all I just need to do is replace this date with that variable I've created. And that's so this one here becomes folder date, right? While this one here becomes folder year. You can see the essence of this is so that every time it has to run this flow, it will not always go into October. It will always go into the folder based on the current date and time, right, that we've asked it to go into. So assuming with the example I gave earlier, when November and wanted to, work on an October report, I've shown you how to add to the current date and time. So if you are adding -1 to the current date and time, it means you are asking it to produce current date and time minus 1 month. So that new product will create a variable, and it is that new product that you will now do this convert date and time, and the two convert date and times on. It will no longer be on current date and time, right? So that's the step that was missing if we were doing it a month backward. All right, so I'll bring in folder year into this place. So the path will always be C/user/chalk OneDrive training sales data dump. All these ones will never change, but folder year can change because 2024 is almost ending. They could create a 2025 and we always want it to be, 2025. Then folder dates, sales data. Again, oh, so there's a step I'm also missing because it saves it as sales data October 2024, right? So this needs to actually change. So I'll save this first, but I need to there's a step missing. Yeah. So what's now? Something can't be empty, no problem. We'll work on that. There's a step missing, right? Because the file is usually saved as the sales data October 24. So I need to also create a new convert, right? Convert date time to text. So I bring that into, so I'm dragging that into the step before that. So I'm converting current date. What am I typing? I'm converting current date time custom, and I want it to give me no, so it take caps for months. Was that space? YY. I think that was it. Let me just double check that. YY. All right. So YY. And I want it to be called file big, right? And I save. So I go back into this, I double click just so that I can edit it. And then I delete the October 24 there and I bring in file date. file did, right? So we have the file path as this. Now, destination folder, I want it to copy it and move it into my own environment, which is this place that I've created. So I copy this path, right? And then I save it. I just put it here. This one doesn't have any dynamic whatever. If I start creating dynamic folders in there so that maybe I want to have 2021, 22 like that, I'll also go around the same steps and do the same thing I've done as the steps above. If file exists, if file exists, overwrite it, right? If it doesn't exist, then but if you're saying if it exists in the folder that it's going to, then overwrite what is already in that folder, because what you are probably copying into is more recent, right? Now the variable produce is calling it copied files, and then I'm saving that. So my error is gone, right? Because I've put the location where I want it to go to. Let me save this so far. So far we've been able to create a flow that goes into a dynamic folder, copies certain files, and then takes them into another folder that I want the file to go to. So that those steps have been done, and I'm just trying to remember what next. So once they are done, what's next? Okay, now what's next is to now open my sales report. So I need to close it so it's able to open it. What's next is to open my sales report, right? Run a refresh, right? And then save and close. So uh, Control Alt F5. Okay. All right. So the next step is to open a file, right? So Excel, I type Excel. I want it to open a file. I just type Excel so that I know what I'm looking for. So it says launch Excel here, right? So I drag launch Excel. So what Excel am I doing? And open the following document path. So it came up as launch Excel with a blank document. Do you want to launch a brand new Excel? That's what the first option is saying. But I'm saying no. I want it to open the document. Now there's a document path. What's the document path to what I'm trying to open? I will open, I'll open this. So this is what I want it to open. I'll copy the path, right? And then paste it here. Just delete the quotation marks. So, right, make instance visible. Yes, I want it to make the instance visible. Open as read only. No, I don't want it to open as read only. Now, the advanced options are asking you if it's a password protected file and all of that. This is not password protected, right? If you want it to protect it. So, but in this instance, we don't need any advanced option. We're just going to ask it to open that file and we're good. So I save this step, right? So it has named this Excel instance, right? So we've launched it. The next step is to now refresh. So if I come here, I want to search for refresh, but it doesn't seem to be like there's a step like refresh, right? This is what you'd encounter a lot when you're working with Excel, right? You find that there are many things that you probably try to do that you cannot do. But this is where learning about shortcuts comes in, right? Before I close that file, I try to see what the shortcut for refresh is, right? That's why I said that Control Alt F5. It's there on the file. So if I open that, but okay, this is an Excel file, so I can just open an Excel file. This is one Excel file. It doesn't have to be that same one. if I go into data and I hover on refresh, you can see the formula there comes out, Control plus Alt plus F5. So if you do Control Alt F5, it will do the same refresh. It will do the same thing as clicking that refresh that you're doing, right? So since it doesn't have an action for refresh, I will just ask it to help me send some keys. So send keys. So you can even see there's a send mouse click option. But in this instance, we're looking for send key because I want to type something with my keyboard. So send keys, I drag that and I drop. So on the foreground window, the foreground window is the window at the foremost. Obviously, because it has launched Excel, I believe that should be the foreground window. But we can also change that to an instance and select Excel instance so that it is very sure. But based on the steps we are following, the foreground window is still going to be the Excel file. So you could also use the foreground window as the option. You just have to be sure about the steps that you're asking because this is a computer. It will do exactly what you asked it to do, right? So the foreground window is the thing at the topmost. On this window that we're looking at now, the foreground window is this box that we're looking at, while my canvas for the Power Automate is behind it, right? So that's exactly what foreground window means. But in this instance, we already have an instance that it has created for that Excel that it opened. So I've selected window instance slash handle and I've selected Excel instance. So what keys do I want it to send? I want it to, let's look for special keys and see if it has control as part of the special key. It doesn't have control here. Let's look at arrow. It's not there. Function is not there. Numeric. Is it there in numeric? I don't think it's there. Shouldn't it be here? Miss. It's also not here. As let me see. Maybe it will be in modifier. Okay. So it's a modifier. So control. So I'm inserting control. I'm inserting alt and I'm inserting function key, which is F5. F5, right? Control Alt F5. So delay between keystrokes. It's asking you what's the delay interval between the keystrokes. So when you hold control, how long should I wait before I hold the next key? That's exactly what it's asking. So I don't want any delay, to be honest. I want it to do it sharp sharp. So you could just put it on 1 or 0, right? And then I save. Send text as hardware keys. Hardware keys. Can't remember what this option does again. I think I should tick this. Let me just try that. And then I save. So we've asked it to send the keys Control Alt F5. Something tells me there's something wrong with it. And I'm not entirely sure because there's the part where you need to put them all together so that it knows that it's a long press. While no, I think this one separates them. From my experience, this one separates them. Let me remove. So I want it to hold Control plus Alt plus F5. So I will put them all together into one bracket. Yeah. So Control Alt F5. Put them all together. The way he did it before, he would have done Control, he will remove his hand. Alt, it will remove his hand. F5. I don't think that's what that formula was saying. I think it wants you to hold Control, hold Alt again, and hold F5 together. So this is what you need it to do. And then I save this step. So once it's done the refreshing, we can now save and close. Save Excel, right? Save Excel. So save that same Excel instance and save documents. If you want to save the document as, you can save the document as and then give it a different name. But in this instance, I just want to save that same document and then I'm saving, right? And then I can say close the Excel. So close Excel. So I drag this close Excel. Excel is okay. Maybe I didn't even need to bring in the save. I didn't need to bring in the save step because in my close Excel, it will ask me, what do I need to do before closing? Do you want to save or do you want to save as? So I'll save this, save, and then delete this step here because I don't need it anymore. All right. So we have 8 actions now on how to run this report, right? I will save this and then run it. Let's see what it does. I hope it doesn't disgrace me. All right. So it's on the 6th action now. It's trying to launch the Excel. Okay. All right. So it was sending it as a hardware key. I think that's where it messed up. You can see it was trying to do the control and putting it into the screen. So maybe I'll delete that. I'll untick that part from the process. Let me close this back. I'll untick. Where is it? Where did we do the hardware? Send keys. I don't want it to be hardware. Save. But let's check our folder and see because it would have done some stuff to the folder. So you can see it has brought in October into my folder. October wasn't here before. So it went into that October folder and brought in October. So I have to delete this now, right? So that we will run it again. So let's try again and run. Okay. Not working. Build close Excel instance. Let me see. Does he have October here? No, it hasn't. Sorry, I'm trying to investigate. So, sales report, this is fine. Send keys and then close. I think it's not passing the keys correctly. That was my own worry as well. So Control Alt F5. Is there I've not done this correctly? Control Alt F5. Let me try let me save this now and try to rerun. Mm. Oh, I didn't delete the other one, but it's fine. Yeah, because it's open. All right, so I need to close this. I need to close it because it's open. Right? Let's run again. Hmm. It's actually refreshing it now. It's refreshing it now. Okay, I see. So this time it worked, right? But there's something I need to. This time it worked. There's something I need to add to the process because I noticed it, and I mean it is when you've started putting in the codes like this that you see all those nuances. So if I open that sales report, let's see if it has October in it. The period, does it have October? It doesn't have October. Yeah, that's because we closed it without um without allowing it to do the refresh. So ideally, we need to add a step between this send keys and close Excel. We need to add a delay time. So if I say wait, right, I'll say wait for, I'll just bring in a wait and say wait for, say, let's say, how long would that take? Let's just say 60 seconds. I don't know how long that should take to refresh. And then I save. All right. So let's go over that process again and see. So it's not open. So I run. So yeah, it's currently refreshing and it says it is ready now. So once it closes, I will now reopen and see if October has gone into the file now. So it doesn't really need up to 50 seconds from the look of things. With less than 50 seconds, we can you can do what it has to. But I mean, it's still trying to wait for 50 seconds. That's why it's on number 8. Once that process is done, it goes to close, and then we'll just check to see that it has done it correctly. All right. So let's moment of truth see what it has done. So I open this. Let's just quickly check. Is there October? That's my first check. There's October. So guys, it has worked correctly. If we go into the reports, obviously October will also go in because there's now October data, right? And then our report is ready to send. All thanks to Power Automate. So in that same flow, because we don't have time now, ideally we can just go ahead to, send email. After closing the Excel, I can just go ahead to say send email. Send email. I drag that, right? And then who am I sending the email to from? Put my email address, sender's display name. What name do I want it to show? I can put Vincent and my surname. 2, I put the email where I want the recipient, maybe my line manager or whoever it is. Who do I want to copy? Anybody I want to copy. In the body of the email, I can say, hi, sir, or hi, whatever way you greet. Please find attached sales report for, remember, we've created a date variable that has just month and I think we called it file date if I remember correctly. So I just bring that in. So please find attached sales report for, it will say October 24 because that's what we did in that file date. Any questions? Please let me know. Regards, Vincent. Right. Now, what attachment do I want it to have? I will just go in here and pick my Excel instance. Remember, we have an Excel or the Excel instance. So yeah, I could do this Excel instance. Um, let me see. I don't know if it should be Excel instance because Excel instance hasn't been worked on. There should be a variable that comes before. I believe there should be a variable. Oh, close Excel instance. Close Excel, save the Excel document and close the Excel instance. Hmm. So it calls it Excel instance, I believe. I thought there will be another output from the closed one, right? Uh, so that it knows what particular file it's going to take. So yeah, let's go back there. So after we've written the email, the attachment will be Excel instance, right? And then we save. So once we save that and save this flow, right? I'm just closing. Once we save that and we save this flow, we have our flow ready. So whenever there is such a file ready in that folder for us to create November's um, sales reports, right? All we just need to do is come into Power Automate, right? We already have our sales report flow here, and then we just click on this, and then it runs. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if I've been able to simplify it as to make it as granular as possible, but these are some of the ways that we can use Power Automate to make our lives easier. I'll be taking questions now. I hope that you've been able to take a thing or two from today's session. I would imagine that, I mean,